I don't care if someone has a house that they are selling for $150,000 or $750,000. It's not treated any differently because they're obviously, like we had talked about before, you can have different people in different socioeconomic statuses, but it doesn't make any one of them better or more than the other.
Right.
Because that's still that person's heart and soul right there.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Today's guest is a top producing real estate agent here in Northeast Florida. She has worked in the financial industry and was a school teacher. She has used this background to maximize her skills as an agent. She is consistently selling $1 million or more a month and is considered one of the top 500 agents in Jacksonville by the Jacksonville producers. Let's welcome this highly respected top producer, Deanna Foerman, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming by. I'm really interested in digging in my experience with, because everyone comes from a different background in real estate. Now, we've got some people that literally have come out of college and got into real estate, which you and I probably look back and go, wish we did that.
I do. I've said that many times.
Yes, but the Lord had a different path for us.
Exactly. Yes, he did.
But how you took that background and in your experience there, and now I'm sure, as we all do, we all have experience where how we grew up, whatever. And when we take it to our next endeavor and how you took it into real estate and became successful in some of those things you've implemented, because obviously, whether it's just a business acumen or working with people is so important in the success of a real estate agent.
It absolutely is. And I have definitely taken what I learned in all of my past in my financial industry background and my teaching background, and it's actually melded very nicely, which is what has helped me in real estate.
Excellent. So we'll dig in there. I'm going to just get because I always forget this till halfway through the show, so I'm going to get this knocked out right now. My co-sponsor here, Remy Graphics, makes these nice mugs, got the show. She's on the other side there, RemyGraphics.com. There is one in your little gift bag. You got a hot pink one in there for you, but she makes these for you. She will do one-offs for you. So if you need a closing gift, there's other laser engraved gifts that she does. We just got the mugs here, but other laser engraved. So if you want to actually make a personalized one for a closing, I talk about it all the time. I think it's more meaningful if you put someone's name on it or the address of the home, something that personalizes it. They'll
Absolutely.
never throw it away, and they'll always remember who gave it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So RemyGraphics.com, as I put up there, give her a call, check out the website there. Actually, I wanted to mention, since today is October 3rd, and we had the hurricane last week. Yesterday, I was able to get together with one of my alumni brothers who actually called me on Tuesday and says, hey, I don't have anything to do. He's a former naval aviator. So he actually has his own plane, and a small plane. And he's like, hey, I want to put this plane, I want to send it on a mission. Well, I didn't realize all these pilots, now another friend with Delta is telling the Delta pilots are doing the same thing, that they have their own individual planes. They all are like a part of this angel type network where they say, hey, we need guys to fly to here and there. So literally within less than 24 hours, actually before we went to bed on Tuesday night, so like not even 12 hours later, we had raised $4,000, bought a bunch of diapers, other ladies' items that are, vital things that are needed for our quality of life, right. Especially keep the kids quiet, right? Get a clean diaper and some formula, whatever, those types of things. And we filled that plane at 7 a.m. yesterday morning, and he was off and landing. So they had actually sent him, because I think everyone's trying to send everything to Asheville, because that's kind of like the center of this catastrophe. But they flew him out to Ashe County Airport, which is in Jefferson, North Carolina, up closer to the Virginia, Tennessee border area there, literally middle of nowhere. But they said there was 18,000 houses without power in that general area right there. But we basically came with 3 pallets of stuff and landed there. So we're hoping to make another trip. So those that are listening, pay attention to my Facebook. If I put a post out, and whether it's $20 or $50, some people gave more. Obviously there's fuel to get up in there out there, but the only real easy way to get in there is by plane. Right. It's amazing the roads being knocked out and washed out. So.
Well, I'll definitely be watching for that. I'd be honored to make a donation.
Yeah, I appreciate
great.
that. He's hopefully going to confirm maybe next Tuesday, so pay attention. Hopefully, Justin Drock, Citadel alumni brother of mine, and we'll make another run up there. So
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
So, but the important thing is you can make a difference. Just get on the phone, make some phone calls,
Right.
which sort of leads me as I talk pre-show, and I'm doing too much talking here at the beginning. I usually don't,
That's okay.
but I wanted to get that word out.
Sure.
But the importance of real estate agents, and you've been doing this now over 8 years, the importance of them in the community. I believe, like we talked earlier, the NAR lawsuit has been a negative devaluation of real estate agents. And our housing industry is so important, but who's the pinnacle of the housing industry? Well, obviously builders, you're building homes, that sort of thing. But the real estate agent's the one who makes it happen. They're the ones who takes that family and shows them the house that they're looking for. Otherwise, they're really lost, even with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time, but it all boils down to the relationships that you have, because we all know so many people of different walks of life, different socioeconomic statuses, but the commonality in all of that is that everybody needs a home.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you are.
Everyone likes a roof over their head.
Everybody likes to sleep in a bed in their home.
Yes, exactly. So I use the term, they're pillars, influencers. I mean, how many times are you asked, hey, what's a good restaurant?
All
Who
the
should,
time.
how important is it for a real estate agent to know some of those ancillary services? How many times are you asked, landscaper, auto body shop, whatever?
I get random texts all the time.
Yeah.
And I actually have a list of all of those people that I actually send out to everyone in my sphere of
You
influence.
just gave me an idea for, what would be a great service is setting up, because I think a lot of agents are short on their web pages. They could be a little more robust if they had someone who actually designed that referral. Like, and make all the connections to those, here's my landscaper and here's his website, whatever, here's some pictures of what he's done, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So that there's a portal there where they can go directly to your website and get that information.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I actually love helping people build their businesses, just like I've built mine, because I do work primarily off of referrals and then working with people I know and the people that they know and their families. And so I like to do the same thing for anyone that's in any kind of service industry, helping them build a referral business.
Rising tide raises all boats, right? I mean, that we've heard that phrase how many times in our life. And when you're directly involved in a business where, like you said, everyone wants a roof over their head, everyone's your customer. Everyone that can buy a house, or whether it's today or 3 years from now, you want them in your pipeline to be a customer and you want to help them. So, to reach out and help these other people raise their businesses, one, it's the right thing to do, but hopefully it comes back tenfold.
Right.
I don't think enough people, I could have, when I got the message from my buddy and he said, hey, let's load the plane and I want to go tomorrow, I would have said, oh man, there's no way we could do that. That's just too short a notice. No way we could get enough people to donate enough money to make it worth it, and just shrug that off. I think there has to be that go-getter attitude. And I think top real estate agents have that. To really, we're going to have Ricky Carruth come into town. I don't know if you ever listened to Ricky before. He's a very successful agent in Alabama. He's coming in at St. Augustine October 15th. You should sign up. We'll talk about it later. But I listened to his 2 books because I'm having him on the show. Actually, we're going to do I don't normally do 2 shows in the same day, but having him on virtually here this afternoon to do a second podcast to promote this event on the 15th. And it's just, that go-getter attitude to go out and realize that you're a leader in the community and you are an influencer and people rely on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to remember that you can always make a difference. And I just feel when you're leading with your heart, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. 100%.
And that's just the way I live every day. And
the attitude with not expecting anything back, but knowing that someone's watching above it, you're doing these things that something's, if you're down, hopefully someone's going to return that favor to you. Because I remember what you did, whether it was yesterday or years ago, that you reached out and you were there. And then again, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to build the community, and obviously it helps us sleep better at night to know we did our good deed for today.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where did Deanna grow up?
Deanna grew up in Clay County in Orange Park.
You are. So you're Orange Parkian.
I am.
As many successful agents in Kidnap's office are.
Yep. I was born in Pensacola because my dad was in the Navy. And so I was born at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, but I moved here when I was 1. So I just consider myself a native of Orange Park. My parents still live in the same house I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
They do. Wow. And so I
knowing their daughter's selling all these houses by all around her. You haven't found another one for them?
They don't want another one. My dad swears he is never moving.
So did you go to Orange Park High, or
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I graduated in 89.
And then you go on to UNF. At that time, what were you envisioning as a career? What was interesting you?
Well, I double majored in management and marketing, so business. I knew business of some sort, but I didn't really know what. I'm sure like many college students, they graduate and just hope they find a job. And I actually worked my way through college working retail. I worked at Dillard's in the Orange Park Mall, of course. And as soon as I graduated, I actually became an area sales manager of one of the departments in the store. And then I found Merrill Lynch.
As so many people in the area, I mean, Merrill Lynch, they've got that big complex, and obviously with Bank of America now, how many people they probably employ in town? Do you? I don't even have an idea.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. There are so many that anytime I'm talking to someone, they're like, "Oh, I know somebody that worked at Merrill Lynch. Do you know so and so?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never met him. I have no idea.
You're right.
There are
What
a lot
department?
of people over there.
Oh, then it's so secured down and everything else like that too. It's hard to but they do employ a lot of people, and for a long time here in Jacksonville. I don't forever, I can remember back, obviously you can go back further. I haven't been here that long as you have. They've been here and been employing people in Jacksonville. So what kind of things were you doing there?
Oh gosh, what didn't I do there? I was there for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
So I did a lot processing areas, managing those areas, like doing employee development and relationship management. That was a big part of it, which has really helped me, obviously, in real estate.
Explain that to what if you say I'm a relationship manager, what does that mean?
So I was one of the relationship managers between Merrill Lynch and the non-Merrill Lynch mutual fund companies. So I had like 90 different fund families that I was responsible for, and then my peer had 90, and then so between us, we managed all the relationships for the back office.
All right.
There.
I'm digging into the word relationship because I'm thinking more human. That sounds more of you're managing these funds, watching computers, what it describes. Why do they call you a relationship manager?
Because you're managing the relationships with the people that are on the other end.
Okay.
And doing what you can to service their funds that Merrill Lynch was supporting. So...
Give me an example of I want to dig deep into this relationship because we're going to bring it to real estate because you said it helped you in real estate. Like what would be, a situation where you were relationshiping?
So like if there were, if there were any kind of issues with commissions or dividends being paid out or the way the fund was set up on the systems, that type of thing, and it had downstream impact.
So we needed human interaction to tell the computers what to do.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So dealing with some problems, almost like a customer service.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot there.
That too.
Yeah, because when you're dealing with someone's money, they're probably getting a little hot too. They could
absolutely.
get a little hot.
They absolutely could.
Yeah.
And would.
Yeah. If something wasn't happening right away,
just like in real estate, you're dealing with what is usually people's most valuable asset. When you're dealing with their money, you better be spot on and be able to account for everything.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. All right. So 18 years. Mm-hmm. Is there any other good positions there we need to talk about?
There were just so many.
Honestly just so you decide to leave there and go and teach.
I did. I got to the point, so Merrill Lynch was bought by Bank of America in 2008, and I stayed on for an additional 4 years. And then I think I just got to the point where I wanted something closer to home because I drove from Green Cove.
Yeah, which almost over to where we're at right now. So
Exactly.
35, 40 minutes every day. Yeah.
Right. In fact,
Which is fine when there's no traffic.
Yes.
That would be no problem if there's nobody in front of you. But when you have to start stopping and going and focusing on that,
the
oh,
time.
yeah.
I spent hours upon hours in a car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to think about how much I spent on gas.
And going back probably was harder than coming over, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It
Which
was.
is the worst time of day because you're kind of tired and you're like, hey, I just want to get home, take my shoes off. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or rush back to get to the daycare to pick up the kids and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So I just decided I wanted a complete change of pace. And so I left. I got my teaching certificate and became an elementary school teacher at the school where my kids were. So literally I went from having a 1 hour commute to literally about 90-second commute to work.
Right. In the neighborhood, practically. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And seeing your kids multiple times during the day, and then obviously being right there at the end of the day with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Got to spend a lot more time with them.
So my guess is the kids grew up.
They did. as I'm glad they did.
But what did you learn I'm an education major.
Oh, okay.
But I jumped into sales right away. I did go back and I taught for a year, and I realized it wasn't for me. I'm old school. So anybody's listening to my show, I'm a Bobby Knight guy. When I grew up, if someone was in your face, it's because they actually cared for you. Where today it's the people, their perception is the total opposite, which I don't think is true, but I just think the perception is, oh, someone's in my face, they're trying to put me down or whatever. Right. When someone's not talking to you, that's when you should question their loyalty to you. If someone's not telling you you have pie on your face, okay, that's when and you do, and they're not saying something to you, then I think that's when you should check their loyalty or how much they actually care about you. That's my life ideology on that. But teaching today with the parents and so forth, I imagine you experienced a little bit about that, but I imagine dealing with a little bit of that has probably helped you in the real estate world.
It has. But I will say that since I have been in real estate for 8 years, I think it's changed a lot.
Even in
that 8 years. So when I was doing it, which was from 2013 to 18, I only did it for 5 years. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like I made an impact. It was nice because when I started, I taught first grade. And then by the end of it, I moved up to fourth grade and got to have a bunch of my first graders. In fact, many of the parents requested me and my partner teacher to teach their kids again. So it was really neat because I got to watch how much they evolved and changed from first grade to fourth grade, and just got to have a totally different relationship with them. Again, back to relationships.
Yeah.
But got to have a different relationship with them, and it was just great.
Yeah.
And then I started in real estate and actually did both for a year. That was a challenge. Not sure how I did it. Because, other than my husband would tell you, I did not sleep. Because I was full-time teaching.
Yeah.
I was a team lead for my grade level. And then, obviously, I was starting my real estate career. And I think because I have been in the area for so long, I had a large sphere of influence. So I hit the ground running. And I was a $5 million producer my very first year while I was teaching school full-time.
Yeah.
So,
what made you consider real estate? I mean, what made you like, hey, did you see an end game with the teaching? Is that
originally no, but someone had actually said something to me, like while I was teaching, that they were in real estate, and they were like, I think you'd be a really good real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that many times, that nurses and teachers make great real estate agents. But I had actually thought about it in years past, and it was just like one of those things where I wasn't wanting to go to something where I was 100% commission. Like, I had to put food on the table and pay, for things. Yeah. And so that was scary to me. So I never pursued it. And then, went on to...
So someone intrigues you here to dig in a little bit.
Right.
I know some brokers, I've had very few people that actually have done it part-time. I've had a few, but it's very rare because some people feel like, to really be good at it, you have to jump in, feet first, right?
You do.
So what kind of challenges did you see doesn't sound like you had any lead problems,
No.
but your knowledge of the industry, and a big word that's always brought up is confidence, because you're like, hey, I'm doing something new. Just like that first day walking into the classroom, like
Right.
I've had all this teaching. Is this going to work? But you study for the test, and that's just keep you from being in any legal issues.
Right.
Gives you some broad knowledge and teach you what a hectare is and an acre, and all like okay, whatever. But the actual business and doing the contract and those types of things, while you're teaching and still trying to express that you know what you're doing. Right? I mean, what kind of challenges did you have there?
Well, I had to very effectively manage my time off. And any days I would take off was never just to relax. It was to go do something in real estate, a class, whatever it was I needed to be doing. And then I would just fit real estate in all the nooks and crannies of any free time I had. So even though I was quote unquote part-time in real estate, I really wasn't part-time.
Right. You had 2 full-time.
I had 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I would imagine a lot of that $5 million the first year were a lot of them your sphere. I mean, pretty much just friends and family.
Right.
Oh, hey, Deanna's doing real estate now. Call her. Yeah. So that probably helped out a little bit, because they were probably a little more understanding of, that she's actually in a classroom and I can't talk to her till 3:00.
Well, and yes, for the ones that knew that I was actually teaching. But when I very first started in real estate, I was on a team at the time. And so some of them were fed from the team. And I never wanted anyone to feel like, even though I was, again, quote unquote, part-time, that they were going to get part-time service.
Right.
So I didn't let them know that I was a teacher. They thought I was just a full-time real estate agent. And I never told them until after they closed, and then they were just astonished. They were like, I had no idea. And I'm like, good, because I didn't want to know.
I've been with some agents who, helped them with, did their loan for their first deal, and they didn't want the customer to know that this was their first deal. I find that funny, but I totally understand too. Until it's over, you don't want the confidence that they have in you is important. So we'll circle back to that. We're going to circle back to your, where you're at in the growth of being a real estate agent with your experience. But tell me about your choice of first brokerage. So you're going to do this part time. Did you actually go, as I know Kim Knapp tells anyone that comes in, you need to be talking to several different brokers and get a feel for what everyone's doing. Did you do that?
Initially, no, because when I did start, as I mentioned, I started on a team, so I just went where the team was. And then when the team moved...
Was there a girlfriend or something there, or what brought you to that team there?
The person she thought I would be good in real estate was actually the team lead. And so I started there, and then the team moved, so of course I moved. And then when I went out on my own is when I went searching. So I interviewed several different brokerages, and I wound up at Coldwell Banker. I absolutely love it there, but it was just different. Like the second you walk through the door, you know how when you just walk in somewhere and you feel totally comfortable, like this is it. The way that buyers feel when they walk in the house and go, this is the one.
Right.
Same kind of thing.
Right.
I walked through the door and I was like, this just feels different than every other place I've been. And so,
let's dig into that. Let's dig into that for a little bit, because I've been to Kim's office. It's not like there's feng shui around or something like that. No. Was it just the initial conversations and greetings from the other agents? What made you feel like that?
And the managers that were running the office, because Kim was not actually even the managing broker at the time. So it was just the people. Which, again, I feel like I'm a broken record, or sound like a broken record, because I talk about relationships all the time. It's just, and I'm very into the feel of things, and I could just feel it.
Yeah.
It was just different.
Well, I think the word that a lot of people will use is the culture of the office, right? The culture.
Yes.
There's somebody there that's setting the tone. I've had Josh Cohen from Florida Network, really Berkshire Hathaway, and every agent that I've had on that has any relationship with Josh is like, oh my God. And he's now gone to a more of a regional level to teach the other office brokers, to kind of mold them into this culture that he's created. Who was, I mean, if you can remember the person there, I'm sure you probably do. Who was it that you think was kind of like the trendsetter that set that kind of welcoming culture? And obviously you attract like kind. And obviously if you are that person that's setting that culture, you're going to attract other people that obviously enjoy that and also want to express that culture as well.
There was another agent friend of mine who's also at Coldwell Banker, and she was telling me about Coldwell Banker and how she'd been there for a bit, and she really loved the culture and the vibe and everything. And she encouraged me to come by, and so at the time, it was Jennifer Tossavainen was who I talked with, and I loved her from the start, still do today. She's awesome. And then Mona Gardella was actually the one that was in the role that Kim's in now. But Mona was there and happened to be on vacation and called me, and we just had a great conversation, and we set up time for me to come by, and it was just a connection from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when Kim, left the production world and went into her managing broker role, I mean, who doesn't want to work with Kim now?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, she's had so many successful agents over there.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She is absolutely amazing. She's definitely the GOAT.
If you're because there's these, which you've had experience with some of these, I'm going to call them virtual brokerages, whether it's Real, EXP, LPT that are out there. I think is that really the three main ones? I think right there. Someone who's in that world, because as an agent, you are your own business. You're 1099. You're doing your own thing. But the importance of the office and its culture in your business development. We know some people that they could just work out of the house and never interact with another real estate agent as far as like being in an office, and they can do it. But I think a majority need that office vibe. They need the knowledge and the other people that are around, that you hear other deals going on, and you gather and you pick up I call it verbal ammunition, how people are overcoming, whether it's negotiations and all the things that real estate go on. Just express a little bit of how that office culture has really helped your business.
It has, like the virtual brokerage, to each his own. Everybody is different. They thrive in different environments. That wasn't the environment for me. I love the being with people, and that's what it feels like where I am now. We're like a family. And you have so much support, and we're constantly doing trainings and getting together for different reasons, whether it be to, raise money for our CBV Cares, or if we're just getting together just because we want to get together. We have our annual Friendsgiving for Thanksgiving, and then we get together also for our Christmas time, and we just get together and really bond together.
The camaraderie.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to have that camaraderie.
Well, they say people that go out into the middle of nowhere, have psychological issues because as humans, we need that interaction, some more than others,
Right.
But there is a sense of belonging. If you're an agent coming in, I think, we were talking a little bit pre-show about a new agent coming in, and that they need to see all the different ways this business is done, or have an idea and see, what broker, what mentor, or whoever they want to latch onto. And it's that, the camaraderie of it. And you might be going out and says, hey guys, we're going to have a happy hour next week, and everyone show up, whether you want to or not, and people show up and you're in there talking shop. But that's important to growing your business. You learn some things.
Absolutely.
Why Kim leads the RE Bar Camp, right?
Right.
The importance of talking shop and sitting down with other real estate agents, because some of the virtual things, would you agree that some of these agents sometimes feel like they're on an island?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it may cost them their business because they're on an island and don't realize what other agents are doing. And then they're like, get distracted, their business goes down, whatever it is, and then they're out of the business. That's kind of something I've been on lately, is how, and I think it's because I was probably listening to Ricky Caruso's books, the two books he wrote, is why agents, drop out, don't succeed. Not that everyone expected to see, but when you factor 80% of the people who get licenses don't actually make their renewal, that's a lot. Yeah.
I feel like you do have to have that backup and the support, and you feel like you can talk to any other agent in our office and they will share their wins. They will tell you what they would have done differently if they had to do it again.
Yeah.
And because no transaction is the same, not one of them. And it's entirely likely that someone in the office has had a similar experience that you can then take what they learned from that and apply it to your situation to help your customer, and it be.
I would imagine you see that a lot in negotiation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Would you agree right now with the current market versus, say, the market of 2021, being really savvy in negotiation is because both the buyers and sellers right now are coming with a little extra baggage, whether it's being some little creative on the lending side, or the seller wants this, but the buyer, and being that mediator
Exactly.
is crucial right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It is.
All right. So you joined this team. Now, this sounds like the team, though, that you were with there, the lady who basically recruited you and working with that brokerage, it sounded like she had some structure that you were able to thrive in, right? I mean, what the value she was pouring into you, we use that term value all the time, and the value of the real estate agent, but the value of the broker or team lead or mentor that you're hopefully matching up with wherever you're at, when that value starts to diminish, that's when people start looking, right? They say, where can I go? Or I know you've been in the business long enough. You've seen some agents kind of can tap out in the sense of, hey, this broker can only take me so far. Now I'm ready to go to the next level, and I need to go to another brokerage where they're going to take them to the next step in their growth. But it sounds like they were giving a lot of it. What were some of the things that they were teaching you early you felt that were really beneficial there at that team?
So just letting me jump in completely, like feet first.
Yeah.
Just teaching the importance, obviously, of those relationships and maintaining them. Because if you're maintaining the relationships, so many people, buyers, sellers, they never hear from their real estate agent ever again after they're finished with the transaction. But if you maintain those relationships, and those people really are not just, for me, they're not just customers. I always become friends with my customers. And then you truly have a deep-rooted relationship. And then that's where your longevity comes from, is because they're going to use you again, because most people obviously buy and sell more than just once. And they're going to use you again, and they're going to recommend you to people that they know and love, with either their family or their friends, or just even someone they don't even know and happen to be talking to, and they overhear that they need some real estate need, they're going to recommend you.
Right.
And you build on that.
Would you, I know you would agree with this, but just to bring this to reality of talking to most of anyone listening is probably someone here in the Northeast area and other agents right listening to this show or watching this show, because we're in Northeast Florida, we're in a growth stage. And the reality is maybe that one individual customer is not going to buy or sell. And right now, a good percentage of people you've sold in the last 8 years, their interest rates are well below where the interest rates are at right now. So they're like, we're not going to jump communities. We're good where we're at because they're, financially. But because we're in a growth stage, every one of these people that moves into one of these subdivisions, they have friends back in Kentucky, back in Minnesota, Pennsylvania, wherever they came from, that are also looking, and they come down and visit, go, wow, yeah, this is really nice. Maybe I need to move to Florida too. And they're going, well, you need to move my community, and you need to use my agent if that agent is actually staying in touch.
Yeah, they're your best advocates right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're selling the houses for you and connecting, because there's no doubt that people, I think, like you said, the importance of that, and that's not something Ricky Cruz said. I'm going to keep mentioning his name because I've just listened to his 2 books, and so my brain is full of all this stuff.
Yep.
But
he's top of mind.
What made me think of what you were saying there about in answering my question of what the team was giving you, that initial team you were on. Most agents don't think long term, and you may be starting your business. You may be only a year in the business, and maybe you only had a half a dozen sales last year, but you need to coddle those half a dozen people. I'd be touching base with them physically, or at least on the phone, once a month if they're not already, you don't already have your newsletter. So
Right.
Do you have regular, what are you using right now? Because now you've been in the business 8 years, so you have 100 clients or whatever it is or more. What are you doing on a regular basis to touch them and obviously stay top of mind?
So I have various things that I do. I send things digitally. I send things through the mail, because people love getting mail.
Yeah,
They
it's a
do
thing
love
now.
getting
Yeah,
mail. I know.
100%.
I love personal notes, again, because I am all about relationships, and I pay attention to what's going on in people's lives. Social media is great for that.
Yeah.
And, and just instead of being someone who just comments on social media, you take it a step further and actually send them a personal note, whether it's a congratulations for something, or I see you're going through a hard time, or, whatever. Or sometimes it's just sending them a personal note saying, I think you're awesome. People struggle with a lot more than they let on. And I have this one friend in particular. I won't even call her a customer anymore, just because, like I said, that she's
graduated from that.
She's graduated way beyond that. But like she tells me, and she's told me this more than once, you have this crazy knack for knowing right when I need to hear from you, and that makes me feel wonderful.
That's connected. I mean, that's
connected.
that's
absolutely connected.
There's times that's funny you say that, because there's times where I might have a dream about somebody that obviously I grew up with or something, and I often wonder. I mean, I haven't thought of that person in a while. Or, all of a sudden, I have this crazy, just off the wall dream or something. And I'm wondering if something's happening in their life that I'm being told, like, I need to reach out to that person or think about that person anyway.
Right. And if someone, and that's just it. If someone crosses your mind, like, I make it a point that if someone crosses my mind, I actually do reach out to them, whether it be a note or a phone call or a text or whatever the case may be. But they're on my mind for a reason. Like, to me, that's not circumstantial.
Yeah.
Like
I'm with you on
it's
that.
an energy.
I'm with you on that, sister.
So,
Yeah.
Yes. I like to call it God. That's God telling you.
Yeah.
They need you right now for some reason.
That's very interesting. No, I think that's really great advice, because I think oftentimes we sit here and we're like, well, who can I reach out to today? Well, I mean, one, you can make it easy and go on Facebook or see who's celebrating something. Maybe their kid just won a ball game or something, whatever it is. But like I said, that when someone comes across your mind, you're trying to tag that and for a reason to touch them in some way. Yeah, that's good stuff.
And that just feels good, to them and to you. So it's just like, it's a total win-win.
Well, I think it goes, but I don't know how you gestured it at the beginning. I think you were leading towards the point where we said some of these virtual agents are on an island. I think sometimes people think they're on an island. They don't realize there are people thinking about them. And sometimes, like you said, to write the note and then just say, you're awesome. Like, blows them away.
Yeah, I actually just got a note in the mail yesterday, because I like receiving them too. But I just got a note in the mail yesterday, and it was one of my customer friends that she sent me a card and just said, thank you for always being involved in our lives. Now, I helped them buy a house 4 years ago, but I go, my husband and I go to her son's soccer games, and, we do all that stuff and stay just connected, because it feels good to them, and it feels good to us, and it's all about the relationships.
Well, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, how important a real estate agent is in our community, and the pillar you are, and these relationships that you create with these people, however they came to you, online lead, saw you on social media, someone referred you, but you didn't know them before that moment. Then you meet, whatever, 30, 60, 90 days, you help them buy a home, and now you're in this relationship for 4 years, and they're, making compliments like they just commented like they did to you in that card.
Well, and
powerful.
During that 30, 60, 90 days, I mean, you're building a major bond of trust. And I mean, I'm honored by that, and I always view it that way. And I just want that to continue.
That's very powerful what you just said there. The word you used before, trust.
A bond of trust.
A bond of trust. Do we, mortgage lenders, real estate agents in general, don't actually understand that the power that we're actually, when we're helping these people, that bond of trust that you're talking about? I think we undervalue it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And how much we are impacting those people. And obviously, when you're at closing or afterwards, they're like, oh my God, great. Or they leave you a nice review or something like that. They're not just generating that. That's actually coming from their heart, that they feel they need to express that. And, obviously we're often kind of humble and like, oh, no big deal, because we do it every day. But what we just helped them through was huge in that chapter in their life. Yeah.
Well, and I find that a lot of people, just in this day and age, they're very apprehensive and anxious. And my goal is to make this event as stress-free as possible. I mean, there's an innate amount of stress in it to begin with, but you want to try and minimize that so that they can actually be enjoying it, because this is a really big deal. You know, buying or selling a home is a big deal.
Right.
And you want that to be something that they don't end up saying, I never want to do that again.
Yeah. I used this, I might have been on LinkedIn the other day, and I was talking about, I just, wrote a quick article. I took one of the reels from the show and just back, but we hire a fishing guide. We expect that person to take us to where the fish are.
Right.
And if you're up in the middle of Canada and you're hiking, or you're out, it's more than just like, hey, go down to the dock. But you're hiring a guide to take you somewhere. You fall and hurt yourself, scratch yourself on a branch, they've got a Band-Aid. Mm-hmm. You're not feeling well. Oh, hey, let's sit down. You need to hydrate a little, whatever. It makes it a more enjoyable experience. And that's the same thing that a real estate agent is doing, I believe, every day. When you're guiding them for 60, 90 days, 6 months, whatever it is, showing them you're that guide. And when they have that stress point, they scratched themselves on a branch or whatever, you've got the Band-Aid. Mm-hmm. In this case, a lot of it's, just verbal appeasement, but yeah, but you're there. And that's really what a real estate agent doing. You are a guide. And of course, they are hitting on obviously what agents, make and so forth, but realize what you're guiding them to. Mm-hmm. This is, like you said, this is the one from 99.9999% of the people, this is their largest transaction in their entire life. Mm-hmm. And you're guiding them through that. And the fact you made it, some people can go through it and not think it's very stressful. A majority of people are stressed about it, mm-hmm. because of what they don't know. And that's why you're guiding them.
Yeah, I always tell people that I'm working with, I don't want you to worry unless I worry. If I'm worried, then you can worry, but otherwise don't.
Exactly. But it goes back again, circle back, there's everything. If you're listening to this, because you're in that office, you only can do so many transactions, that you can only hit so many at bats, so many different situations, but there's an infinite amount of situations that come up. And being in the office with those other agents, to rely on some of them, say, hey, I've got this situation. I've got this seller wants this, the buyer wants that. To be able to say, how would you know? Well, when I had that, or something similar, it's so powerful, and then helps you be a better guide. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're with the team changes brokerages, mm-hmm. but you decide you're ready to be a solo agent. Mm-hmm. So how many years are you in at this point?
2.
So 2 years into, so you decide but you go out and you obviously now have enough experience of seeing what's going on. You actually start talking to some brokerage because you know what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Tell us some of the things that you were looking for, and then obviously you ended up at Coldwell. Why is that?
Well, just the things that I was talking about. I really wanted the culture. The mm-hmm. culture was extremely important to me, because I have the persistence and the tenacity to do what I need to do, and I'm a very goal-oriented person. And so when I set a goal for myself, I'm going to achieve it, because there's no other choice in my mind.
Yeah.
But
you don't have a plan B.
I know.
Some great people say, don't ever have a plan B.
I didn't have a plan B. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. But I wanted it to be in a certain environment. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was looking for. Not to mention, when I was looking at Coldwell, our office in particular is the top producing office in the county, mm-hmm. and a lot of the agents that I knew and respected were in that office.
And there for a reason.
And that's
led
huge
you there.
to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just telling.
What did you, if you can recall, maybe it's been 6 years, you said you talked to several brokers and mm-hmm. and so forth. What are some of the things that for you, mm-hmm. so other people may see them as turn-ons. What were turn-offs for you?
Individual.
Yeah.
Turn-offs? I really don't think there were any. Like, I never walked in and was like, I don't think so.
Right.
It didn't have the feel. It's just the vibe wasn't there. And then, like I said, when I walked in the door at Coldwell, it was like, I'm home. Mm-hmm. This is where I need to be. So they were all great brokerages.
Right.
But that one just had a different feel for me.
Now, we've talked quite a bit about the culture, the mm-hmm. feeling of the office. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to an operational standpoint. Because to me, that's when the rubber hits the road, right? You can have all the warm and fuzzies. Sure. We know some people have some magnificent offices. You know, some brokers actually, that's like their cornerstone is to have a great office, which works for some people. But when the rubber hits the road, those brokers got to be adding that value, and whether that's support. So you must have been hitting I call it the lid. I talk about it a lot, where at some point you're like, I can't do this all on my own. What kind of help did Caldwell help you break through that lid? And talking to so many agents and interviewing so many different people, and even listening to Ricky Carruth to bring him up again, when you start getting that, some people think it's between 5 and 7. I know personally, because my wife's there, you start hitting 9 million by yourself and you're doing everything by yourself, you're at a lid point. It's hard to break 10 completely by yourself, where you're doing no transaction coordinator, no marketing. You're just literally doing all your entire business. How'd they help you break through that?
So, several different things. Number one, training and education are huge. Obviously, I mean, Kim, she was Educator of the Year. I mean, she's all about education and focuses on it a lot.
Complete about sharing knowledge, like you said, in the office and creating that atmosphere. Sharing everything that, whether you might use it now, it might be years before you use it, but she's sharing it and putting it out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, they have services like transaction coordination, and we do have a marketing department. So you can order things and, they show up, on your desk, and all of it's fantastic.
Right.
Definitely professional quality, high quality photography and marketing, all that stuff, which is good because when you can get all of that stuff easily and quickly, you can focus on the people, which is,
you're not the one following it up on the quality.
Exactly.
You're not the one you're doing the quality control because you have this idea, hey, I want to send a postcard out to every one of my customers or whatever it is. And you tell them what they want. Boom, you don't hear, all of a sudden a day or two later, boom, here's a proof. Do you like that? Yep, that likes it. Send it out. Boom, it's out. Yeah. And you have now spent a couple of minutes and you have other people that literally took a few hours to develop because somebody had to design it. And obviously then any corrections, I think in business in general, I can do that myself. Well, you can, but what is it costing you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to look at all of that stuff. And the brokerage itself, I mean, Pete Dalton has done a great job of making the brokerage very agent-centric, and it's all about making things easier for us so that we can focus on what we need to focus on.
If you were up in front of a group of these people that I'm talking about, like these, sub 10,000, or 10 million, I'm sorry, in production, at least here in our area, as far as numbers are concerned, they're at 6, 7, 8 million there. Obviously, a lot of agents have a hesitancy or reluctancy or just, they feel they got to do it type of thing. Was it hard for you to kind of hand off some of this stuff?
A little, but that's just more of my control nature.
Well, a lot of people have that, though.
Made it hard to hand it over, but as long as you're overseeing it, that's what matters, because you don't have to send it out the door if you're not happy with it, because it's your reputation, it's your name that's on it.
Right.
So you never have to worry about that, but just not physically having to do it yourself makes all the difference. And then one of the things that I was introduced to through Caldwell was ninja selling. I'm sure you've heard about.
That was so Ricky Ninja Selling was the book before that.
Right. I am a major ninja advocate.
Yeah.
I love ninja. I've been through 5 installations, and my first year was in 2020. My business has grown every year since. And the thing that I love about it is it's ninja selling, but it's not, no one wants to be sold, right? But you want to do the right things to move your business forward. And it's all about relationships, which is what my focus is anyway. So it aligns completely with my business. Right. And my heart is about relationships.
If I recall, because it's hard, Audible is hard. I really actually enjoy reading the hardcover book, right. But at time, kids, sports, and all this other stuff, which sometimes I am sitting there. I should actually get more books, but I'm doing the Audible thing and getting them driving back. And everyone keeps mentioning Ninja. There's a lot of agents have gone that way, but he talks about the whole step of creating that relationships from the first interaction. And then, Ricky talks about a little bit too. He kind of overlaps with the Ninja. Yeah. So the whole interaction and let's have coffee, Ricky talks about that and like, hey, I know, maybe they're not ready to, but you're building relationships, and the job of you and of me is to interact with as many people obviously as possible. And of course of the day, and not everyone's ready to buy or sell a home. Not everyone's ready to refinance or, finance a home. They're not, but you have to start building this whole thing. I think it was Marky Lemons who spoke at Dari Bar Camp a year and a half ago. Yeah. She talks about, when I had her on the podcast, she talked about like adding 8 people to our CRM every day. So, again, start putting these people into touch and again, start creating that trust and confidence in you. Ninja and Ricky were really pushing it to actually have a face-to-face, sit down and have coffee or have lunch together. Have you implemented it that way? I imagine you can't do it with everybody, but you try to focus on.
I do it a lot.
Yeah.
Which I love to do anyway, because spending, again, all of these people, if they weren't my friend before, which, a lot of my customers are my friends first, but if they weren't my friend before, they become my friend. So to me, it's just like, oh, I get to go have dinner or lunch with my friend.
Right.
So there is a lot of face-to-face. In fact, my daughter was she has access to my calendar, and she was trying to set something up for us to do. And she's like, Mama, you have you have dinner on your calendar every night this week and next week. And I was like, I know, but I'm just going and hanging out with my friends, And the nice thing about Ninja too, and why I love it so much, is because, again, it's not about selling. I mean, the goal is never to talk about real estate. It comes up.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not the goal. The goal is the relationship.
Right. Because each of the people that you're going out to, whether they're looking to do something right now, again, you're fresh on their mind. And again, they're, obviously you're continuing to strengthen that trust and credibility because real estate will come up, and then you're making your comments, and really what you say is their belief in real estate because they don't know any better. So they build that trust, and the importance of, like I said, staying top of mind when working with a client. I think we joke about, because the professionals that I've had on it, we joke about it, but there's a lot of agents who do this, like take photos with their cell phone and stuff like this and do listings with that. You know what I mean? Trying to save a couple of bucks here because maybe I don't think half of them, it's because they're not getting the commission they should get. I think they just like, oh, I'll just, this house will sell. I'm just going to take photos with my phone because either they're lazy and, or I don't know, just don't have a relationship with a good photographer. I don't know what it is, but it's wrong, in my opinion. I think,
I agree.
But that person that's in front of you at that time is also a huge part of your marketing, because just like you're having regular lunches and building credibility and trust with your, continue with your friends, this is a new person. And that experience that you're going to have is another billboard on that street. Really, because, and a lot of times your name's out front.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter. I don't care if someone has a house that they are selling for $150,000 or $750,000. It's not treated any differently, because they're obviously, like we had talked about before, you can have different people in different socioeconomic statuses, but it doesn't make any one of them better or more than the other.
Right.
Because that's still that person's heart and soul right there.
Well, I think the people who do separate that, or maybe like, I'm too busy to handle that 150, you would be amazed how many of those $150,000 home buyers know a $750,000 home buyer. And whether they're going to work, and maybe the boss or the owner of the company is a $750,000 buyer, the employee is 150, but the fact that they come to work and they're like, oh my God, Deanna was awesome. There's relationships that are there that you don't know about. And when that person says, man, Deanna treated me like I was buying $1 million home. And I just bought this manufactured home out in, Western Clay County for, $200,000 on a couple acres, and that impresses the $750,000 say that they want to give back. And they're like, oh, well, Deanna treated my employee really well, and now he's in a better spot or she's in a better spot. I want to work with Deanna because she's going to deliver that service and deliver it to all my people.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just from the very beginning, my number one goal and priority is just helping.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the rest of it seriously just falls into place.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, the money and everything will follow because you will continue. Maybe you do $350,000 transactions, but that person's trying to just chase the 750. You might get one every couple of months, maybe, type
I'm
of
just
thing.
going to help whoever needs me.
Yeah,
to help.
and it will come.
That takes a lot for someone to ask for help too. Especially just depending on what their individual situation is. So, I mean, it truly is an honor when they ask you
Right.
to help them.
Yep. Well, talk about asking for help. I have Mentor on here. Have you had anyone who you truly got with for a period of time, whether it was initial 2 years or at Caldwell, where that you kind of tag on and it's really grown your business or grown you personally?
I think that the interactions that I have with various people, because again, every agent is so different. They all have different backgrounds and different experiences and what they've learned through their business. Or, I mean, even someone who's been doing real estate less time than I have, they have their own individual experience and whatever their background is. Mm-hmm. And I just feeding off of all of that. I mean, you can get so much from so many different people. So to say like Kim, obviously she's a mentor, mm-hmm. but really it's more of people are mentoring you and they don't even know they're mentoring you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you surrounded, like you said, you looked and you were considering what office, Kim's office, or wasn't Kim's office at the time, but that Caldwell had a lot of the top people, which still does in the county, in Clay County. And you just put yourself into the nest. Mm-hmm. With a lot of, right. Who you surround yourself with, mm-hmm. and that you just surround yourself with a lot of great people. So there's a lot of pouring back and forth, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And you get yourself into like accountability groups and you learn a lot in those too. And people are holding you accountable for things you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. But then as you're listening and involving yourself with them, there's mentoring there. Like it's not spoken like, hey, I'm mentoring you, but it's there for sure.
Let's tag on that accountability piece. Because again, I listen to these books I've listened to. You voluntarily join this accountability group or mastermind group, whatever you guys call it. And, you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that, but I'm going to commit to doing that. So some of these people are calling you out, or you're walking in the office, say, hey, did you do whatever you said you were going to do or whatever? A lot of people avoid that situation. I mean, they don't want to be like told what to do. Well, you're the one who actually told us what you were going to do. What's the mindset that you develop to actually make that valuable? You know what I mean? So they're holding you accountable. Well, a lot of us could go in and say, yeah, I want to lose weight or whatever. And you can hold your accountability group. But then, you go off the wagon and go to McDonald's or something, and then you don't even want to interact. You're like, I don't even want to do that anymore because you're going to be called out and you're going to feel bad because you went off the wagon. Mm-hmm. But that's the whole point. How do you submit yourself to that?
Because
that's a deep question.
It is a deep question. It is a deep question. But because I said I'm all about a goal. Mm-hmm. And when I set something for myself, I'm going to do it. But let's be honest, we're all human. You do fall off sometimes. But with the accountability group, like if I didn't have an accountability group or even one person that I'm accountable to, it's very easy for me not to do something and say, okay, I'll just do it next week. But I don't want to walk in and tell somebody I didn't do something that I said I was going to do, mm-hmm. because I'm all about my word and my commitment. So committing yourself to that, just strictly because you don't want to tell somebody that you didn't do something you said you were going to do.
Right.
That doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I never want to feel
like that. And you have to face the fire,
mm-hmm.
right? I mean, mm-hmm. I think a lot of people talk about like, hey, getting up early and going to work out at 5 o'clock in the morning or something. Nobody loves it when that alarm clock goes up. There's nobody that wants, to get out of bed, especially if you live up north and that the floor's cold. You just don't want, but you do it because it's going to make you better.
It's going to make you better.
Yeah. And you have to submit yourself to that group and allow those people. I think that's, one of the challenges of being self-employed. You're like, well, I'm my own boss. I'll work when I want to work. Well, yeah, you can, but you're not necessarily going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And that's hopefully those listening are going to October 15th 15th here this month when Ricky Caruth comes. That's one of the things, he committed himself to some crazy stuff that obviously, made him a great agent. Not that anyone else could do it. There's not many people who would make the sacrifices he did, but even if you made half the sacrifices he did, you'd still be a top 1%er of what's out there. Let's wrap around here and give some focused advice, I'd say. That's what I'm going to use the term. What do you think, if you look back, and I'm sure you have many keys to success, things that you've did, but what do you think were 3 important things that over the 8 years you've been in the business that has aided you in your continued growth?
One is the desire to just learn more. I'm really big into education. Last year I spent ridiculous amount of hours up at NEFAR getting different designations and things like that. I actually got my broker's license last year. And so just always learning, because whenever you're always learning, number one, you're staying up with what's going on in the industry, but you're getting better and better for the people that you're helping. And then I would say also involvement. I did participate in 2022 in the NEFAR Leadership Academy. That was very, very enlightening. And it was one of those things, you don't know what you don't know. And then when you are exposed to it and become involved, it's just completely, changes everything.
Gives you a much broader picture of the industry.
Much broader.
Yeah. What's going on. And then when you do read these articles, you have a little context to place them in, because, what's going on around the country in different areas. Now they're talking, I don't know, right now they're talking about MLSs, or some of these MLSs have been bought out by private companies, so they're not owned by the boards or Florida Realtors or anything like that. How would that change? You have some aspects that kind of have some context to place that to where, what would happen if our local MLS was, went private, outside the board type of thing, and how that would affect the business. But I think you would agree with this. One of the parts of a real estate agent's success, or anyone's success, is confidence in what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how is that education and involvement? This is just the first 2 of
Right.
3, but education and then actually going and being involved, hearing from people who've been in the business for years, or just seeing some of these, a lot of people don't have no idea what the board's doing on a regular basis. They've got a staff down there. What are you guys doing?
Right.
Well, now you're learning what they're doing.
Right.
What's going on in Tallahassee? What's going on in Washington, D.C.? Because, like I said, housing is a huge part of our communities. And now you have a better grasp of what's going on.
Well, and you mentioned like Tallahassee. That's one of the things in Leadership Academy that we did, is we got to participate in the Great American Realtor Days. So we went to Tallahassee and got to be right in the forefront of everything, and sitting with representatives and senators and getting to promote things and advocate for home ownership. And that was an amazing experience. And then, you talk about the involvement. That's one of the things that came out of Leadership Academy for me too, and being able to see the larger scope and the big picture. And not, like I said, not only did I get my broker's license last year, but also became part of the association, the board of directors for NEFAR. So just my involvement has drastically increased since participating in that academy, because it just opened my eyes.
Yeah. What's number 3?
Number 3, honestly, the focus on the relationships. I don't think people do it enough.
Yeah.
And that's been instrumental. And the thing about it is that's just to the core of my being, is who I am. So that's what makes what I do not feel like work.
Some people think it comes a little easier. I think many people are like, well, do they like me? Or it's kind of like the dating thing, right? Does she like me? Does he like, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
in the reality is, and I think definitely people outside of the real estate business don't understand that we live our business 24/7, and relationship is a big part of it. And if you actually like somebody, or just want to appreciate, hey, thanks for buying home. Let's go get lunch. An hour. Like you said, you booking your schedule out. Who was it? I know someone who came to Landmark not too long ago, actually probably about 6 months ago. And he was talking about, he actually made it a thing that every Tuesday he was having Taco Tuesday at the house, and it had to be someone different every week.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
a
an
good
interesting concept, right? I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Your family bought onto that, and the house had to be cleaned, right? You're inviting having someone you don't normally maybe or have a long-term relationship because you had to do someone new you'd run out of people,
Right.
to have someone new over the house. But you're breaking bread with them, and now you actually had them in your house, which is already a thing that you already look up to them in some way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To set a goal like that is pretty, well, it sounds like no one really has to hold you accountable because you enjoy doing it.
I do.
But you obviously seem to be you have the personality of a natural friend maker. Yeah. Where not all of us have that skill, but yet people still like us. So we're just reluctant to say, would they go out to lunch? Should I call them for lunch? No, they're going to be busy.
Right.
We've always, they're going to be busy, or.
Well, one of the things that I do actually when I do schedule time with people, because they say, oh, we should do this again. All right, let's get it on the calendar now. Because before we know it, 6 months has gone by, because life is so busy for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when it all comes down to it, it's who we spend time with and do what we do that is most important.
I'm gonna drop a promotional drop here.
Please.
No, I'm gonna say if you have some friends you want to go out, I can get Limelight Theater, downtown St. Augustine.
Nice.
If you've never been to community theater,
I've only been to the Orange Park Community Theater.
You already been there. Limelight Theater, 33 years now in St. Augustine, the old town. It's a treasure. It's a 501c community theater. They, I think, have 3 employees. All the actor and actresses are all volunteers.
That's awesome.
Great shows, and they do a lot for the kids and the whole drama scene and so forth. I'm hoping my wife's on the board there. I will drop that. Hopefully, we'll have some events. I've actually got a notice from the former Miss Canada of Tourism.
Oh, wow.
She was, Miss Canada Tourism, Holly Carroll. She has a huge Instagram following. It's how I picked up on her. She's from Canada, but she's she's a real estate agent, but she's big into women empowerment. I'm going to have her on the show on the 22nd virtually. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned to her, I said, hey, if you're ever, coming to thaw out here in Florida, I can put some butts in some seats. And she's like, hey, let's talk about it. I'm actually coming down to Florida in January. So awesome. I like that one. We might coordinate that and something at Limelight Theater to promote the theater and expose people like yourself to the theater. So you want a night on the town.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Again, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. These little hidden treasures that are all around, whether it's a good restaurant or theater or whatever.
Exactly.
So what advice would you give? I think this is important. Like I said, I think I said pre-show that I wish there was a board and that gave some advice to these new agents, what they need to be asking, what they need to be looking for, and need to find out about themselves, really, right? What advice would you give someone who's thinking about or maybe in licensing right now, but is not committed to a brokerage or anything? What's some few things that you would advise to give them?
One of the things is to find one that is really a good fit, because if the fit's not there, nothing else is going to come naturally.
It could cost you your business.
It could absolutely cost you your business. Mm-hmm. And to find a brokerage that does focus on training, because there's especially with all of the changes recently, it's important to be with a brokerage that is going to proactively help all of their agents to know everything we need to know, because there's so many moving parts and pieces.
Especially right now, last 90 days and all the things that's happened, contracts and all that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And then a broker that will continue to feed into you and really be your biggest supporter and cheerleader, because you need that, especially when times are tough and you're feeling defeated. You need someone to set you straight.
Training / education. Mm-hmm. A lot of them will tell you, hey, we've got the greatest training. We've got the greatest technology. Mm-hmm. Would you agree? And if you can expand on my statement, because I think you will agree, the broker's not the one to tell you that. They're going to tell you that, oh, we got great training. Okay, great. But you really should actually look at the roster and pick a couple of the top people out and actually, what is the training they're getting? Exactly, yes. If it's a bunch of virtual training, oh, yeah, we have this library of virtual trainings you go on, but they're not offering in-classroom training, if you want to call it that. Maybe you're really good at the virtual. Oh, I love just going, I can sit there and watch YouTube videos and, tell you the history of the world. Okay, maybe that works for you. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're the person that needs to get in the classroom at 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's me.
And,
I'm an in-class person.
Yeah, and sit in the front row and actually get in. So you need to know, how is this training actually happening? Because all these brokers are going to tell you they have great training and great technology. But you have to understand, what do you mean by great? What does that mean to you, and how that is going to affect you? And would you agree they really need to actually speak to some of the people who are actually going to be sitting beside them in some of those classes?
Absolutely. And that can actually give them almost like a dry run of what it looks like. Will show you the system to see what it looks like and get their honest opinion. And obviously, if they're a top producer, they have the transactions there to back up what they're saying, and
Right.
you take them more seriously, honestly, than like someone that has 1 or 2 transactions a year.
I don't know if I'd hold it. If I was a new agent, I was really, you're listening to us here on the show, and then we talk about this a lot because I think it's such an important issue, where you actually say, okay, you have great trainings. When's your next training? And if it's within the next couple of days, say, do you mind if I sit in?
Right.
I think that would be so powerful. Everyone comes into mindset because they don't know the business or don't have someone like you or someone like Kim going, hey, this is the ropes. They're going to let you sit in there because hopefully you have a good time and you sign up with them because they're already interested in you.
I have an agent that actually called me this week from another brokerage that is considering making a move and is actually coming to one of our trainings, because we have trainings weekly.
Yeah.
And they're actually coming to our training next week.
And it's just something, organizing these trainings, that takes work. But we know Kim and her involvement in the board and in training and so forth, obviously she knows that's, crucial, has been crucial to her career. So she's spilling it on there. But to actually schedule out worthwhile on the agenda, we're having, a quality training. I think a lot of brokerages are like a lot of managers, sales managers. Oh, we're having a meeting this week. And then 5 minutes before the meeting, they're trying to figure out what they're going to talk about. There's no agenda. You walk in there and you got a bunch of professionals that just took time off their business, time away from their kids, time away from something they'd rather be doing or should be doing for their business, to sit in here and you're not prepared.
Right.
I think that's something you want to find out from the agents that are in there. Of course, some of those agents probably already left because that's the kind of meetings there. I've been in places like that. It's like, oh, we're having a sales meeting. Okay, what's on the agenda? No agendas out there. We just sit down, what's going on? And it's just people babbling back and forth. And then they want, I think, a lot of like the fly by night, like they want the audience to interact. Oh, we're going to interact with the audience. That's going to let the thing. No, you have to have an agenda.
Oh,
the audience will follow the agenda, but you got to, and it's got to, that they're walking. I think it's so important. And I'm sure Kim has the same attitude because that's why she's successful as a leader. They got to walk away with something. Walk away with some
our
nugget.
Monthly sales meetings, so insightful and packed full of information.
Yeah.
Like I'm constantly writing stuff down that I can take with me and even explore on it even more.
Triggers a thought, triggers
Yes.
some other area that you
All
need
the
to fill
time.
that you might be neglecting. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
Well, there goes the light, an hour and a half. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, sir.
I
I,
hope-
know it took me a little bit to get here because life could be crazy. But
I always hound the good ones. I got another. Amber Strong said to this morning she's going to come on, and she's really good with the Florida coastal team's been killing it. I've been having to nag her for I don't know how many months now. Finally, I had to call her out on Facebook so everyone else could see it. So Amber, if you're listening right now, don't worry, you're not the only one. But Deanna, thanks for coming on.
thank you very, very much.
Appreciate you.
It was an honor to be here.
All right, you have a great day.
You too.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.